Internet, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Skymetal Iron Gods, Chapter 2, Lords of Rust, Part 6, if I got that right, which I think I did. Uh, Even the GM's like, I don't know. I just went to whatever the last video was. It was 5, so I'm assuming this is 6. If not, we'll fix it in post. It's been a minute. And by a minute, I mean it's been about 6 weeks, approximately, since we played. So, in just a few moments after some announcements, I will turn it over to our lovely GM, who will provide us with a thorough recap so we all know what the heck is going on. But first, a couple of announcements. Yesterday, we started a brand new campaign on Mini Terrain Domain. 7 Dooms for Sandpoint, a Pathfinder 2e campaign. We had our premiere episode last night. That is currently only available on Twitch, but by probably tomorrow night, it will be available on YouTube, youtube.com/mini-terrain-domain. So if you want to come along for the ride on that one, you can get started with us at the very first episode. And then, of course, we have Skymetal every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. You know that because you're here. But starting next week will be the much talked about, and we've only had a session 0 so far, a couple months ago, but we are ready to kick off with Scavenger Death at Dusk. It is a campaign featuring game master and writer of Scavenger, or co-writer of Scavenger RPG, Marquise. Myself and Lloyd, the RLDM, will be the players in that campaign. And that's going to be a little bit different time slot. We're going to be starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday, and that'll be every other Tuesday opposite this game. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday, which I believe is the 15th? No, 16th. The 16th of January will be the premiere of Season 3 of Welcome to Paradise, Michigan, our Kids on Bikes RPG. That is going to be Season 3, Welcome to Paradise, Michigan, Genesis. At the end of Season 2, spoiler alert if you haven't watched the finale yet, but at the end of Season 2, they found themselves back in 18-something, more than 100 years in the past on South Manitou Island in a logging camp of all things. So if you want to know what the heck is going on with our Kids on Bikes game, tune in on Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern starting next week. Up here, up above my head, you will notice this peculiar object, something we call a domain relic. There is currently 7, but thanks to Monty DL's resubscription, thank you, Monty DL, for resubscribing for 54 months in a row. 54 months. Fantastic. That's incredible. Thank you so much. And it has earned us a domain relic. Well, you might be wondering, what are domain relics? Domain relics are the domain dice for this campaign. Domain dice are a way for you, the viewer, to have an impact on our game simply by subscribing, resubscribing, gifting a sub, cheering 500 bits, tipping $5. Any of those things can earn us domain relics that we can use in the game in a variety of ways. Yep, I knew I was going to do that. Every time, is it relic or relics? And I always type it wrong. It's, try this again. Domain relic. In this game, the relics are 1 equals roll with advantage, 3 equals re-roll any die roll and use the new number, or for 5 domain relics, we can force the DM to re-roll any die roll and use the new number. But we only get those again because of all of the various methods that I mentioned through your support. The only other announcement that I want to make before I turn things over to Vi is I just wanted to remind you, as we do before all of our games, I'm going to check in and let you know that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference, whether you believe it or not. It is true. There are so many reasons to be struggling right now. It doesn't matter what that reason is. Maybe you're not even struggling. Maybe you just need somebody to talk to, or you have a friend that's struggling or needs somebody to talk to, but you're not sure where to turn. Well, all you have to do is come here to our chat, whether we're streaming or not, and type !help, as I've just done in the chat. Doing so will cause a couple of URLs to pop up. First is findahelpline.com, or you can check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I would like to turn things over to Vi.
Thanks, Jake. The Torchlighters claimed their fame by being the mercenary group that was able to relight the great purple flame of Torch and rescue the town's esteemed council member, Conir Bane. Under the town of Torch, they found a great sprawling complex of alien and futuristic design. Inside were the remnants, undead remnants, I should say, of a tribe of Kasatha, the four-armed people of another world. There were rogue and lethal robots, and a Lord of Rust herself, with an army of loyal minions. This Lord of Rust was the android Mayenda, who Daeralei was convinced is the woman Cassandali that she is searching for. But she is not the only Lord of Rust, for there are many, many more, as the Torchlighters have learned, based in the town of Scrapwall to the northeast. All devoted lieutenants of an enigmatic and mysterious demon named Hellion who rules there. One of such Lords of Rust is none other than Yrsimagor's sister, the mighty Kulgara. Daeralei argued for mercy to be spared to Mayenda, hoping to unveil her uncanny connection and resemblance to Cassandali. The relighting of Torch was not to be the only deed the Torchlighters accomplish. They had their eyes set on taking down Hellion and the Lords of Rust at Scrapwall. They rejoiced in an evening of festivities to celebrate the relighting of Torch before making their way to Scrapwall the long way by river. They took Mayenda with them, where, through questioning and conversing with her, they discovered that she was this Cassandali, albeit from a previous life. She seemed to have very little memory of her life as Cassandali, but this was enough to break her faith in Hellion and begin to have doubts set in. Along the river, on their way to Scrapwall, the journey to the intermediate waypoint, this proud and free city, Hakados, was first interrupted by a ghost town inhabited by the restless spirit of a ratfolk matron who lost her family to a rampage of robots on the hunt for Cassandali, and that pursued her west into the Scar of the Spider 30 years ago. It was then interrupted by a Technic League checkpoint that was determined to confiscate all of the Torchlighters' technological treasures. The Torchlighters saw headstrongness and violence as the solutions to get through this river blockade, and soon thereafter, the wrath of the Technic League troops and robot drones fell upon them. Were it not for Zaari and her noble sacrifice, the rest of the Torchlighters would not have made it through. The Torchlighters saw their companion Zaari surrounded, beaten down and taken prisoner by the Doombringer Osman Zane himself, as the riverboat continued to glide along down the Selen River in safety. There, however, in Hajath Hakados, the free city, the Torchlighters met two new companions, the scrappy tiefling rogue Toy and the Urumfarax cub they named Donut. There, they resupplied, then continued by river on the last leg to Scrapwall. The Torchlighters faced a terrifying froghemoth in its lair in the Grim Fen, barely able to dispatch it before it was able to eat all of them alive. But now, having made it to Scrapwall, you left Meanda behind at an abandoned fort, half a day's walk from the town. And here, the Torchlighters have but one goal: to take down Hellion and the Lords of Rust. They found themselves, however, not alone in this goal, it seems, as shadowy figures dropped cryptic invitations into their possession. An underground rebellion here in Scrapwall, based out of the strange Shadow Den. Here, the town of Scrapwall is a sprawling maze of jagged metal and scavenged debris, a veritable patchwork of a town built from the remains of the Reign of Stars ages ago. Its skyline bristles with leaning towers of rusted beams and shanties, balanced quite precariously on top of one another. Acrid smoke drifts lazily from makeshift forges, narrow and winding, littered with discarded scraps and the occasional glint of rusted Skymetal, buzzing with the chatter of traders, scavengers, and shady dealers. Clans and factions stake their territory with crude symbols painted on rusted walls, while patrols of Hellion's followers, bearing improvised armor and brutal weapons, watch the populace with a mixture of disdain and menace. Amid the chaos, here life persists nonetheless. Children playing with cobbled-together toys, the scent of roasted meat wafting from a vendor's stall, and whispers of resistance hidden beneath the town's grim surface. Banners wave, emblazoned with Hellion's brutal claw, and the looming silhouette of Hellion's great lair at the center of it all that rises above the chaos. Its great shadow stretches over the entire fractured community of Scrapwall, like a predator ready to pounce. Yrsimagor, Toy, Donuts, and Daeralei, you have been making your way through the town of Scrapwall, and within a few minutes of bumping through crowds, all of you have been informally invited through these cryptic notes passed to you by shadowy figures, an invitation to the Shadow Den. It seems that they know of you and want your presence. Daryl, I will start with you. You came here through the northwest entrance with Veris. Quickly, Veris goes, I must check in with my father, make sure he's okay. It's been a long time since I've seen him. As he scampers off to who knows where, leaving you alone with this bunched up note to meet at the Shadow Den.
Veris. Why did you leave me here alone? You know I don't know this place. I wonder where the others are. Well, nothing to be done about it. I shall see what this is about, as they look at the crumpled note in their hand and proceed to try to find their way through Newtown to wherever this Shadow Den should be.
And how do you want to go about finding where this enigmatic Shadow Den is?
Luck, I think. I will be walking south through Newtown I know the others came through the southwest entrance, so as far as I know, like if I keep going south, maybe I'll run into them. I mean, Veris just left me alone here. I'm lost. So I think I will just head south, try to look inconspicuous
Okay.
as much as I can. I mean, I can't really, but when I can't be inconspicuous, I will be intimidating to get people out of my way.
Give me a perception check to see if you can spot the shadow den as you make your way south.
How bright is it? Because
it's very dim.
Okay.
Most of the scrap scaffolding that make up scrap wall obscures the sun.
Okay. So I will just roll flat. Roll. Oh,
I
it's almost
wouldn't say
good.
it's like dark, but like definitely like shaded for sure.
Yeah, I don't have the penalty of the bright sun. Okay, good. That's cool. 14.
All right. You keep your eyes and ears peeled for any shadow den that you might think exists and hearing anyone speak of it, but unfortunately for you, you don't find head nor tail of this as you wander southwards through Newtown.
Yeah, I mean, this is not unexpected for Daeralei. I mean, they weren't expecting it. It's called the Shadow Den. It was a secretive note. It's not going to be like neon signs or something like pointing this way, this way, this way. So Daeralei is just like going, I'm so lost. So,
or is it?
right. There it is. I just missed it.
You're looking everywhere as the camera angle tilts, and there's literally a big neon sign behind you. The Shadow Den. Bling, bling, bling.
But I can't see it because, of course, I'm not. So I'll continue going south. So while I'm trying to keep an eye out for that and any, maybe signs, which I don't hold too much hope for, I am looking for Yrsimagor.
Yeah.
I don't think I could miss him in a crowd. So I'm really hoping that eventually I may see them.
Unbeknownst to you, there's the Shadow Den sign right behind you. Whenever it would be in your line of sight, there's like a pair of people. They're carrying like a big, parcel that obscures the sign, and then you look away, and then the sign reveals itself again. All right, you try to make your way to re-catch up with Yrsimagor, not knowing where the Shadow Den could be. We turn then to you, Yrsimagor and Toy, and of course, little Donut at your feet. Yrsimagor, this is not your first time in the town of Scrapwall, though it is a changed place since you last remember being here. The grip of Hellion has grown stronger and stronger since you've last set foot here. The people's spirit seems more and more broken. It seems that everyone has resigned themselves to the fate that Hellion is their lord, whether they like it or not. You can see it plain as day as Hellionites march through the streets, being the equivalent of a city guard, though they are bullies at best. You look down at this crumpled note. Meet me at the Shadow Den. And it's signed Sevroth Slade, a name that you remember from years ago.
I would have had to give the note to Toy to translate, or rather read. I can't be bothered with scribblings on parchment. So it would, I imagine it was Toy reading this off. As I'm handing it to her and looking around at this town, I say, welcome to Scrapwall. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Okay, that's great. It's just wonderful. So, are we going to make our way places?
Is the Shadow Den something familiar to me then? Or is
Absolutely,
this a new thing? Okay.
That is where you woke up from unconsciousness in our little flashback episode. You would know the place for sure.
Yes. So when Toy reads the note saying the Shadow Den, I'm sorry, what was the name again that was on there? It was
Sevroth Slade.
Sevroth Slade.
I'll put it in the chat.
I know this place. It's not terribly far. Stay close. And whatever you do, don't look anyone in the eye.
You just see her go.
And I will start heading through town, through Old Town. I will take us on a route that would lead us sort of through as direct as possible, knowing better than to move through narrow alleys and things like that, trying to stay more for Toy's sake, trying to stay in the open where, yeah, the guards will bully us and others from time to time, but they're less likely to, they or anybody else is less likely to try anything if you're not isolated from the crowds. So yeah, we'll head on up this way and
Daeralei, you find yourself having somehow entered the market district. You've gone so far south. You see the hustle and bustle of vendors and dealers, and it's all in the shadow of this scrap wall rebellion monument, this erected statue that is in dedication to the great war against the Technic League that happened 30 years ago. And in the shadow of this great monument, you see a tall, imposing orc, one you know fondly as Yrsimagor, as you basically bump into him in the market district here.
Bold of you to think I was looking at him fondly. But I am glad
you look at him with recognition as you see Yrsimagor,
so
towering above the crowd.
I like to imagine that I'm looking away, so I don't notice you right away, and most likely being my fault, I would almost run right into you, Daeralei, and then immediately, instinctively reach out a hand to grab hold of you as I'm snarling, "Watch where you're going!" Oh. It's you, Daeralei. You should really watch where you're going.
Unhand me, you bear. But I am so glad to see you. Veris run off. He just left me here, all alone. Didn't even say goodbye. Kind of fitting, really.
Did he go to see his father? He's been away from Scrapwall for some time.
He may have said something like that. I don't understand why. These filial connections, but whatever. I thought we had a job here.
I can assure you that Veris is in good hands. He is close with his father, and if I know Veris, it will come back to us with useful information, or at the very least, tasty food.
Well, now I'm hurt even
good.
more. He could have taken me with him. I think this is probably the closest you've ever seen to Daeralei actually, like, pouting.
I was just about to say.
I was gonna say, please tell me she's pouting.
Are you pouting?
I don't pout. I'm clearly pouting.
You just hear Toy just kind of like behind you, Yrsimagor, just like.
Your lower lip is jutting out like a prepubescent orc. Nevertheless, as you said, we had a mission. And as I recall, it did not involve you being in the market district.
Where was I to go when I know nowhere of this place? Every place looks similar when I'm walking around this. I must have been walking for hours before I came across you.
I glance up at the sun. We've only been in town for about 45 minutes.
Well, it seems like days. I have found one thing. Hold out a piece of crumpled scrap paper.
You found trash in scrap wall.
I know, fitting. It has words on it, Yrsimagor. It's important.
Give it to her. She reads.
I just kind of stare at you for a little bit with a kind of a smirk, because I believe I already knew that. But you
She's
just
just
testing my
like-
patience.
I'm also just cracking up that his Toy's just sitting here, and you've got Daeralei and Yrsimagor, who are both insisting on talking like this to each other. I just became very hyper aware of the way we were talking.
Yeah, so we're buds. So I'll shove the paper at Toy.
And Toy, if you unfold it to read it, you'll see that it's written the same way as the one that Yrsimagor has, except this one is addressed to Veris, and the one that Yrsimagor had is addressed to Yrsimagor. Otherwise, it's like, Veris, come meet me at the Shadow Den. I imagine our goals align, signed Sevroth Slade.
Okay. Well, this one's at least a little nicer.
What do you mean this one?
The one he got, just maybe it's just how orcs talk. I don't know.
I think the one eyebrow raises, and Daeralei would look at Yrsimagor. You got one as well.
Yes. We are heading to the Shadow Den. But if you also had an invitation to the Shadow Den, why did you walk past it? And I point over your shoulder in the direction you came.
Oh, this is technically for our little friend.
Ah, that explains it. Veris would have known exactly where that is.
That was my point when I got here.
You seemed like you were just wandering around. Aimlessly.
It is okay
Lost.
to do that,
I was not lost, but I was wandering around aimlessly.
It is okay to admit that you were lost. We all get lost sometimes.
I was not lost.
I mean,
I found you, didn't I?
okay.
Well,
Okay, let's get to the Shadow Den then. This sounds fun. I'm glad I got you guys and not weirdos. And you just see like this look on her face that basically says, y'all are fucking weird.
I picture this moment as you say that. It's you kind of glance over at Donut, and Donut just gives you that sort of almost animated cat look of like, yeah, right?
I know, yes. And I think she'll kind of tap her hip a little bit and she'll be looking at Donut. Like, come on, let's go.
And I will start leading the way to and take us to the Shadow Den.
You make your
I'm
way.
walking right beside him, pretending that I know where he's going. Because I gotta keep up appearances at this point. But obviously following him, but yeah.
I won't tell you that I know exactly what you're doing. I rolled an insight check just for fun.
Yrsimagor, you lead them past the market district headed in the Newtown direction, where there's this very, very hidden alleyway where the bits of the rubble and scrap don't quite meet all the way in this great wall of refuse, instead giving way to a small little tunnel that then opens up on the other side to form this like shadowy alleyway that goes through deeper and deeper into the scrap. Here is where the Shadow Den is. You know it as you've been here before. And ahead, as you pass and climb through this narrow passage, you find this up ahead, this dimly lit hideout, tucked into the remains of an old collapsed structure, walls made of Skymetal plates and reinforced with scavenged beams. There's a door, and it is closed.
What's the protocol here?
Yes.
Is this, do I know, is this like there's a secret knock or a certain way to open the door, or?
You read my mind, because Toy was gonna be like, do we got a secret like handshake or do we gotta like draw something on the door? Like, well, what do we gotta do to get in?
You know, Yrsimagor, that there is a simple secret knock. It's like a thump, 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 thump kind of pattern.
I imagine specifically looking at Daeralei as I reach up to knock. And yes, I know that it's an auditory password, but I'm still going to do the equivalent of covering my pin at the ATM as I look at Daeralei, and then I move so you can't see, but you can clearly hear the pattern as I go dunk, 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 dunk.
As you hit,
I was just gonna say, as Yrsimagor is hitting that, I will say in his mind, you realize I can hear this, right?
But you didn't see where I knocked.
at about thigh level to you, Yrsimagor, a little peephole opens up. And then anyone who can see it would see like a little eye looking out, and then realizing that whoever's peeping out is looking at shins, closes, and hear a little scamp opens up at eye level, looking through out at you, scanning the three of you, and then you hear a clunk, clunk, clunk as the door opens up, scraping open, as this small, wiry rat folk opens the door into this place for you. She's small, she's old, she wears the smock of a medical professional, I don't want to say doctor or surgeon, because that's a bit more technical than probably what they have access to here in Scrapwall, but a physician medic kind of type. Similar, you do recognize this particular old, venerable medic rat folk as the one who was dressing your wounds and the one that you woke up to many, many, many years ago back in our flashback episode. She opens the door. Yrsimagor, it is good to see you again. And you've brought company. Well, they're downstairs, she says as she scuttles off with like a mop and continues like sweeping something. There is a staircase that descends down into the earth. Everything is basked in shadow and darkness, so you cannot tell really where it goes.
I will quickly usher Daeralei and Boy and Donut in, sort of just motioning them to go ahead, kind of looking back to make sure nobody's approaching the secret entrance, and then making sure that either I, or if whoever is manning it or whatever, that the door is secured behind us before we head on down the stairs. And I'll just kind of motion to Toy and Daeralei down there.
You descend down the stairs. You see the light of a single lantern that flickers, hanging above a solid wooden table at the center of this larger room that you come into. This lantern casts long shadows over an assortment of maps, sketches, notes that are scattered all over this table. The smell here, the air is thick with a scent of oil and dust, and you can hear the low murmur of voices that rises and falls, tensed with frustration. You can see around the table, four figures are arguing fiercely. A one-armed woman in patched leathers who drives her knife down into the wood for emphasis on a point that she's making. There's a wiry ratfolk who strokes the thorax, of his juvenile pet rust monster that's currently flicking its antenna very nervously. There's a half-elf woman with neck-length blonde hair who's crossing her arms in agitation. And lastly, a grim-faced human man with tattoos and a goatee sharpening his hatchet methodically as he leans back on his chair. The one-armed woman says, "We don't have the numbers for a full-on assault. If we don't hit something vital, we'll just be throwing lives away." The half-elven woman says, "The engine in the core is key. If we could sabotage Hellion's war machine and power source, we'd cripple him and his lords." The wiry ratfolk, "That's suicide. His chokers and those damn Hellionites have those tunnels locked down." And lastly, the man leaning back with his hatchet. Then, he kind of holds up the hatchet to the light. "We go for the Lords of Rust themselves, break his lieutenants, and Hellion's hold on Scrapwall will falter." Immediately, the one-armed woman looks to the three of you that are in the entryway, having noticed you. She gives you, Yrsimagor, a look of recognition, one that you would recognize her from before. And as you look at her, last time that you saw her, Yrsimagor, she had both of her arms. In fact, seeing what is now like the stump at her shoulder, you have this piercing vision back many years ago in those tunnels below Scrapwall of your sister's chainsaw, Colgera's chainsaw, deep into her shoulder, into this woman's shoulder. And here she stands again, right before you. This woman, Sevroth, she looks at you, Yrsimagor, and says, "You picked a hell of a time to walk into this mess."
I was never one
Timing
for
is
perfect timing.
everything.
Sorry, I talked over you. Did you just say timing is everything?
I did, as you said, perfect timing. Yeah.
I see you're all attempting to plan your own funerals.
"Trying our best with what we have," says the cross-armed half-elven woman. "I take you're Yrsimagor then," she continues. "Sevroth said a lot about you."
Most of it's probably true.
She grins at that, a little smirk. "I'm Bree, by the way, Bree Kite." And if Veris was here, he would recognize that name. "Oh, if introductions are order, I'm Redtooth," says the little ratfolk as he holds his small juvenile rust monster up onto his shoulder to like skitter around on his shoulder. And then, expectantly waiting, the fourth one looks up and from sharpening his hatchet and goes, "Call me Hatchet." he says.
Clever. I get it. I, as you apparently already know, am Yrsimagor, the bear. These are my companions. Daeralei, Toy, and this is Donut.
I was expecting Veris back in town too. That's what my scouts had informed me of. My informants. He's not with you, Sevros says to you.
If you know Veris is in town, then you know he's gone to see his father.
Ah, of course. I haven't talked to that old man in a bit. Well, come, it's good seeing you again, she says as she strides over to you and gives you a hug with her one good arm, Yrsimagor. Like not like a friendly hug, but more like a warrior's hug, like a thump on the back. And probably goes to do the others, go do it to the other two. And if you let her, she'll probably like break your back, so to speak.
No, as soon as she
with these
comes
heavy
to like
thumps. Yeah.
pretend, to do that, don't touch me.
I think Toy would accept the hug, and you probably hear like the entirety of her spine just grrr. But then
Crack.
she stands up and she straightens herself out a little bit more, and she almost looks a little taller. She's like, oh, I've been trying to get that out for a while.
You see that Red Tooth has already scampered over. He's huddled down looking at Donut. He's like, oh, what a curious creature you are. He like lifts up like the lip of the Arumvirax with his like clawed finger. Oh, this isn't a Arumvirax. A eater of metals it is. This will be useful in our wars against Hellium. Yes. Say, do you have more of these pups? He says, up to you, looking at you, Yrsimagor. Or actually, probably Toy, because I imagine Donut's like taking a liking to Toy even too. So this is what Red Tooth says to you, Toy. Do you have more of these pups?
No, I do not.
Unfortunate.
Donut is one of a kind right now.
And he's not for sale.
No.
Well, what is the purpose of summoning us here, Slade? Presumably you've got something in mind.
Well, my informants told me of your arrival, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It's good to have you back, Yrsimagor, and I was hoping that you'd be willing to join in the fight once more, just like last time.
Well, it seems to be your lucky day because we came here itching for a fight. Hoping to take out some of these Lords of Rust.
Do your companions know of them?
They do. They've been brought up to speed. They know about Kogara, I say, sort of glancing at where Slade's arm once was.
She winces in, not, I won't say fear, but almost like she winces of trauma when you utter that name aloud. She leads you to the desk, the table in the center of this room, where on it you can see notes and diagrams and maps and sketches of various bits of intel this resistance has gathered over the past bit of time.
You've been busy.
Well, we have. But we've hit a bit of a standstill here as The Lords of Rust themselves, we cannot strike out at them. Not yet. Hellion's forces are too strong, and they grow stronger by the day.
I assume it's not just the four of you.
Now we have eyes everywhere. Many, many swords, but our numbers are still few. Not enough at all compared to Hellion's forces. A direct war would be suicide.
Sooner or later. And I glance over at the one called Hatchet. We're gonna have to face Lords of Rust head to head.
That's what I was saying, he says as he brings his whetstone along the hatchet edge. Takes them out one by one. Strike them hard, strike them fast.
But
They will not see us coming.
we must also strike them at the right time. Otherwise, Kilgara will be adding more trophies to her collection. She won't be satisfied with limbs. She'll want to see all of our heads mounted above her mantle.
Bree steps in. Any kind of direct assault will be superfluous and useless at this juncture. They're far too powerful, and Hellion's forces are far too strong. I say we find some way to sabotage his power source down there in the core. I know that wreckage, the wreckage at the edge of town. It's of the same era, the same age as the war machine that Hellion is trying to unearth. But of course, with the way that it's been haunted, no plunderers nor scavengers have dare set foot in it at all, ever. I know it to be true. Something in there can help us in our fight against Hellion. He has the technological advantage against us. Let us even the scales.
Haunted.
Yes. Ghosts. Ghosts haunt that place. The lingering dead. Poltergeists. She keeps like listing off like synonyms for undead, hoping that one of them will like, trigger a neuron in her brain.
I keep staring at
Ghouls.
I keep staring at her with my void eyes, right? Like
Mhm.
these highly unsettling eyes. I don't even
The
blink.
restless dead.
I just stare at her.
Apparitions from beyond.
I think you just hear Toy and she's just like, oh. I like where this is going.
He just goes, oh, ghosts.
Redtooth then squeaks up. Well, I would also have the way to even out this technological advantage, as he says as he strokes the nymph juvenile rust monster that is his pet. I've been breeding these, you see, a whole warren nest of them down below beneath Scrapwall. If we can set them loose upon the core, upon Hellion's domain, it will chew through everything, including his war machine itself, rendering him inert and his plans foiled.
How many in your warren?
Well, that's the thing. He's like looking to see if people are interested in his idea, and it seems that it's caught some attention. My eggs have been disappearing lately, being stolen, hunted in the dark.
So are you saying this is the only one?
No, I have dozens, but dozens is not hundreds as I used to have. No, I used to have swaths upon swaths of eggs, but as of late, they've been poached by some underground predator that I cannot find.
Your eggs have been poached.
Well, not like that.
Tasty.
No. Ah, fiddlesticks. That's not what I meant. Hatchet then looks down, kind of sneering. I never believed in your rust monsters anyways.
What is
Why
your...
not?
Now listen, if you could find, if someone would help me find out what's been eating my eggs and exterminating them, I'll have an army of rust monsters at my fingertips to help out against the war against Hellion. Come on, please. Someone help me with this. I cannot do it myself. No, that's a waste of time. We must go to the wreckage and find something that will disable his power source. And it seems that the group, once again, has devolved into arguing over which plan of action to go for.
I think Daeralei just covers her face. It's just like, ugh, my head is hurting already.
I will take whatever the nearest piece of something heavy is.
There's like a bottle, like a glass bottle, if that's heavy enough for you.
Well, that's not quite what I wanted. I was looking more like for something that I could slam against a piece of metal from the... You know what? No, I don't even have that anymore. Wait, where's my equipment? Did I get rid of stuff? I gave Manda my gripper thing.
Your powerful crowbar thing, yeah.
And I gave away my sword too, didn't I? Or I sold it. I don't remember what I did.
I think you sold the sword, yeah.
So, all right, forget it. I'll just use my voice. I'm not gonna do it right now because my granddaughter is sleeping, but I will basically just yell, "Shut up!" At the equivalent of a almost like an orcish war cry.
Mm-hmm. The three of them that are not Sephiroth Slade look to you in terror and like not quite pissing their pants level, but like, oh shit, you know. Sephiroth herself just has a grin, a smirk, a knowing smirk of knowing this is the Yrsimagor that I wanted to see, kind of vibe to her. As the room grows silent upon your bellow.
I don't think you realized when you summoned us here the gift that we were bringing you. We have experience dealing with the technology that Hellion himself has been dabbling in. You know, and looking at Slade, you know I have no love for constructs. Especially these Skymetal beings. No, I wouldn't call them beings. That implies kind of humanizes them, if you will. These Skymetal abominations. Down in Torch, there's one of these... There's remnants of this technology deep below the mountain. We faced horrors down there. We lost people close to us. But we've seen firsthand how to deal with these things. And we disabled what would have been a powerful extension of Hellions communications. So even though you were all scurrying around like mites in the Viper's nest, you don't seem to have had as much luck learning the specifics of what he has at his disposal. You have ideas, but I haven't yet heard a solid plan. Each of you wants to do your own thing. That is why you're going to get yourself killed. Or you would have if you didn't have yet another powerful asset that I don't think you even realize. And I clap my hand on Slade's shoulder. This is why you called us here, isn't it?
She gives you a look that says, yes.
Seems we need to bring in outside help. Keep you idiots from killing yourself. I kind of look, I think at this point, I kind of look over to my side at where no one is, because I imagine this is the point where I almost expect that Veris would pipe in. And can almost hear him like, well,
Well, when he says idiots, he doesn't mean those of low intellect. This is a figure of speech. Something along those lines.
but seeing that Veris is not there, I will turn back to them and I'll kind of step back and place a hand on Toy's shoulder, and I will motion with my hand towards Daeralei, not putting my hand on them, saying, I'm not saying we're experts, but we've learned a thing or two. And I think if we all put our heads together, and we look at what assets we have, we can come up with a plan. But I think it's going to take more than just one focused effort. I think we're going to have to come up with a plan that involves creating a distraction and sending somebody in to disable this device. And if we can get more of those, and I point to the little rust monster, it's only going to help us. If Veris was here, he would already be on the hunt for those eggs. At that point, you see Yrsimagor kind of looking around, and again looking to where Veris would normally pipe in. Kind of looks a little awkwardly at Toy and Daeralei, and then looks over to Seventh Slade. I've spoken enough.
Do either of Toy or Daeralei say anything upon this juncture?
No,
in
because I
this
think
discussion?
Daeralei is also subconsciously waiting for Veris to speak up.
We're like the A-team without
Yeah.
Our face.
There's a
Yeah.
Veris shaped hole in the party right now.
There is. I think the moment the hand lands on her shoulder, it's just this like very slight tilt of her head towards Yrsimagor, and her eyes kind of flick up for a minute. And then she looks back at this lovely, lovely group here. And she says, listen, not all of us are smart about the situation. We need to map out the finer details. Some things need to be taken care of first, such as finding whatever is taking your weird little bug eggs, and find out about this whole haunting. But I wonder, and this is just me on a personal level, I don't know Scrapwall very well. I have a few questions that I'd like to talk to someone about.
Ask them, Hatchet says abruptly.
If you don't have answers, I would appreciate any information that can be found. I'm searching for a tiefling, and she like gestures to herself.
Bree pipes up. Not many of those in Scrapwall. Not much in Numeria, in fact.
I know. Not too sure what he looks like now. But I do know that he happens to delve in the more darker side of things. I'm not sure if his name has changed. Last time I knew him, it was Adonis.
Red Tooth, he's like drinking on something. He like spits out when he hears that name. Adonis. That's the one that went in there and never came back.
Went in where?
This tiefling you were speaking of, Adonis? Sevroth continues. He was working with us for a bit. We had come to him. He is a demonologist. At least that is what our informants were able to gather. New to town, no connections. The perfect one to bring into our fold. I thought perhaps his study of demons would bring us closer to understanding the true nature of Hellion. He was convinced that he could. He didn't want a group of people. He wanted to go in by himself in the shadows. He would stick to the shadows. He said he was good at it. We trusted him. He seemed to have carried himself well. It was a mission of reconnaissance, though he seemed eager, perhaps too eager. He's never come back.
Wonderful. Where did you send him?
He was dead set on the core itself.
Great. Great, of course he was.
He went through, I presume he went through the hidden entrance, the choker tunnels near the receiver array.
All right. Thank you for that. And then I think she turns and she looks at Yrsimagor and Daeralei, and she kind of like puts her hands out like this. She goes, egg hunt? Ghost hunt. Which would we like to do first? Obviously, we are going to find your little squeaky friend, right?
Bree will pipe up and say, with your expertise in Skymetal ruins like the ones beneath Torch, you'll be a valuable asset in recovering whatever hidden secrets and assets we can find within the wreckage in the northeast section of town. And then, of course, Red Tooth is like, oh, they said they're going to help me get my eggs. Oh!
I think that's when, like, her tail kind of curls around as Third option. We have egg hunt, ghost hunt, scrap hunt. And obviously, we need to get our squeaky friend first.
It's not a question of which of these we're going to do. It's a question of in what
Where do we
order.
start?
And I hate to say it, but it's hard to choose without Veris.
We can always find him and choose with him.
I feel like that's going to delay things significantly.
Okay.
Sorry, that's meta.
That would be funny.
I 100%
Yes.
yes. Vi is going to text ghosts or eggs to M with no context. I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be.
Is he? I don't know. I don't know like super well. But whatever they pick, I think it's gonna be fun.
We'll see if Emma even messages me back. Perhaps then this is a good cut to break as the party deliberates.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a break for a few minutes. We will be back and see you on the other side. And we're back. Man, I hate cutting off that guitar riff.
And the party continues to deliberate between the two options presented before them. Well, three if you count some other options.
I think
Investigating
Veris...
the wreckage, haunted but intact since time immemorial, and the rust monster eggs below the earth. As you see both Bree Kite and Redtooth looking expectantly at you to choose their idea of the two.
I think Veris would want to investigate the eggs. I just have this feeling.
I think so.
I don't care which we do first, but I do think that we should have our tiny squeaky friend with us.
Agreed. How long do they spend with their father when they see them? I mean, I find this distressing.
It has been some time since Veris has seen his father.
It has been some time since he's been at his father's.
And his father can be a valuable source of information and resources as well.
Then he should come here too.
He is old.
So are you.
I'm 24. I have no idea how old. I actually don't know how old Yrsimagor is.
I love this. I love this. Because then there's like Toy who's just sitting here like, I just hit 20, man.
What are you talking about? I'm 16.
Oh, Simmer goes at like laugh lines and crow's feet and like he's like balding and stuff. He's like, I'm 14.
He's got these beautiful like gray streaks in his hair and beard.
Oh, it never filled in his age. I haven't thought about that. Obviously, yeah, he's not.
Obviously,
he's not a
I'm
kid.
older than you
Yeah.
because I'm a drow. So a dark elf, way older. You've had a rough life. You look ancient.
And I'm gonna say that's in character.
We actually, I'm hesitating because there's the part of me that wants Veris to say, or Yrsimagor to say, we can go into a haunted scrap pile without Veris. But given how close Yrsimagor's been to death, I think at this point, he's reluctant to actually say that. We don't need we don't actually need. Well, we could probably,
I feel like you're lying to yourself and trying to say that lie out loud, and your body will not let you.
Admit it, Yrsimagor. You rely on Veris.
We need our tiny squeaky friend.
I'm not afraid to admit that I rely on my friend.
You make that sound so bad. She looks at Daryl.
I don't know what he's implying. Obviously knowing what he's implying.
You clearly don't understand orc ratfolk relationships.
I clearly don't. I don't understand it at all.
I
don't understand
Sounds
most
like you don't
relationships.
understand any relationships.
I'm just imagining the others in this room that are just watching us sort of banter back and forth.
And there's Toy, who's just joined, who's just like, what's happening?
So I
And
guess
you, who's this Adonis person? Why have you not spoken of him before?
Oh, you never asked?
Should I?
Again, this goes back to the relationship thing. You want to understand someone, you get to know them. You ask them questions about themselves.
Why would I want to understand you?
I don't know. Maybe we could be friends. Maybe, I don't know. Sounds like you could use one.
I have a friend.
You could use more.
I'm fine with one.
Oh, that's sad.
Well, I
Very-
have two now.
That's even sadder.
It fits me.
Oh, okay. Cool, I guess. Adonis?
Well, I have 3.5 friends.
3.5. Okay. Are they ones that we can see? Because I can see other things, and I don't see anything around you. It's more like a weird black hole. Kind of.
Why are we talking
in.
about myself? This is not appropriate. We are supposed to be deciding whether... And at that point, they'll just ignore you altogether and turn to the little fun one that reminds him of Veris. When did your egg start going missing?
Well, it's been
We
quite
see
a
this.
problem. For weeks now, I've been trying to figure it out on my own, but I know that these tunnels, they go way, way too far for little old me to get through.
The tunnels.
Tunnels, yes. Tunnels with this strange slime. Something burrowed through the ground to eat my eggs.
When he says slime, does that
You
have
know
any
of
indications of...
you know of many underground burrowing creatures that are slimy. This doesn't narrow them down at all. Other than ones that aren't slimy, I guess.
So I think I'll start asking questions like, did it leave prints? Was there claw marks? Was, trying to narrow it down of all these like 100 different slimy underground creatures that...
Yeah, perfect. I'm gonna let you roll a nature check here, with advantage because of subterranean origin. As you kind of like play 20 questions with this little rat, red tooth, to figure out what these could be.
14.
Your best idea is that it's some kind of like gelatinous ooze, but gelatinous oozes don't normally burrow. But he said there's no footprints, no tracks. Like the slime seems like it's the way that he describes the slime and the residue of it, and the way that it's like carving holes in the ground, the way it's corrosive is like this sounds like some kind of ooze creature, but you don't know what it could be.
And it leaves nothing behind. When it takes the eggs, does it leave
Just a slime.
just slime?
It's not even that much. It's like a thin purple mucus. It reeks.
How big are these
Reeks
holes?
of acid. Some of them are small, like this big, and then some of them are really big.
What, eggs, or are we talking the tunnels they disappear into?
Oh, the tunnels. Are you asking about the eggs?
I was asking about
No.
the tunnels.
Yeah, the tunnels. That's variable sizes.
And I think I would.
Some I can just barely fit my head in, and some I can walk through no problem.
I would let Yrsimagor know, and Toy, that I think it could be some gelatinous ooze creature. Or 2 or 3.
I don't really know anything about oozes.
Oozes, you say? I thought they were just creepy crawlies. I know there's lots of creepy crawlies down there under the ground. You're sure it's some kind of ooze?
Are you sure it's leaving purple gelatinous mucus behind that smells of acid?
Oh, very much so, yes. I have.
Then I very much so believe it's what I said it was.
Quite unfortunate indeed. Unless you are ooze hunters by chance.
Don't be ridiculous. He sounds too small to be.
And he like strokes his little pet rust monster, like to comfort himself. They called me ridiculous.
I said, don't be ridiculous. I didn't call you ridiculous.
There he goes again, calling me ridiculous, calling us ridiculous. And he like holds up the little guy.
Now you're being ridiculous. And I turn to Daeralei. They sound too small to be bullets. Unless they're little tiny bullets.
Are you referring to the eggs, or are you referring to the gelatinous cube monster thing that's hiding in the tunnels?
I'm not exactly the brightest tool in the toolbox. But even I know what we've established. These are rust monster eggs.
So why are we talking about bullets? You've lost
Bullets
me.
burrow. They swim through the earth.
But they do not leave behind mucus.
What else do we know that burrows?
I start listing off the hundreds of creatures that I play 20 questions to get out.
I think Toy would just kind of pipe up just randomly and be like, I mean, with Yrsimagor's idea, could they be tainted in some way that maybe leaves a mucus?
Red Tooth would be like, I have no idea.
The bigger tunnels that you've seen, do they leave any tunnels big enough that I could fit through?
He looks up and down. Well, not to be ridiculous, but I think you'd have to maybe squeeze a bit to get through the biggest ones, and I don't even know if that's the one you have to go through in the end to find the source of what's coming from, you know?
a better idea. What have you done with the eggs that you have remaining?
They are safe behind the fences in a big nest, as and they're kept at the proper moisture for rust monster eggs.
And these creatures,
But I put up a fence to make sure that they could not be get at.
you have dozens, you say?
Dozens, yes.
We're gonna need 6 eggs.
And what for?
Not 4, 6.
No, and what for?
Bait.
Bait. You want to use my babies as bait? Oh, I don't know if I'd like this one.
It's the only way we're gonna be
Oh,
able to catch whatever this is that's coming for the eggs. We
He's
can't
being
go digging
ridiculous
down.
again.
We can't go down digging through the tunnels. We
We
lure
could.
whatever it is.
We could camp at the nest and wait for it to arrive.
That's why I suggested taking 6 of the eggs, not to endanger the rest of the nest, and get them outside of the protective fence.
Why do you need 6? Why not just 1?
Because, and I hesitate to say why. I start to say why, and I hesitate looking at Red Tooth holding on to his one little rust monster, and I just say, you're going to have to trust me on this one.
I think at this point I will establish that telekinetic bond with you, Yrsimagor, and I'd be like, what are you planning?
Have you talked to me telepathically before?
I did yes, I have. When we were in the ship,
Oh,
I
okay.
talked to and then
So-
I did right outside this when you were knocking on the door. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, you did. I still think there's a little bit of a, when you do that, mosquito in the ear, like.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see, looking at Yrsimagor, you see that look of concentration, and you can actually see, even though he's tightly squeezing his lips together, you see him going, like he's mouthing the words as that he's thinking very hard not to say out loud. But in your head, you hear, if we only have one, and whatever it is comes up too quickly to grab it and gets away, then we have nothing. But if we have a half a dozen, we can afford to lose 2 or 3 of them in the process.
No other reason. Or 6.
Yrsimagor genuinely looks very puzzled at you, as if, what other possible reason could I have for wanting 6?
Very well. I think, your expression tells me everything I needed to know. That this was plan A.
He's not thinking like, yeah, let's use 5 of these for bait, and then let's fry one of these up, see how rust monster eggs taste.
Poached. Eat them poached.
Right. 6 just happens to be the highest number Yrsimagor can count to. Just kidding.
It's how many is on his hand, right?
All I can hear now is Psycho Sticks. I can only count to 4.
1. I forget how it goes. Wait, 1. I can count to 1.
1, 2, 5, 4. That is not what I hear in my head. We count so whole.
So, Out loud, I say, that's my plan. 6 eggs. You take us to where, outside of the protection of the fences, they've been attacked, and we set a trap.
Very well. And Bree looks to you. You're seriously going to be going after his egg nonsense when there's a perfectly good wreckage to spelunk into?
How long have you known about this haunted wreckage?
My entire time I've been here in Scrapwall, 4 years or so, but I mean, I've been doing my own investigations of it, and it seems a bit too dangerous for me alone to go into.
So it's not
So
going
what-
anywhere.
It's not going anywhere, you're right.
And in this 4 years of your investigation, what have you found out?
Well, the locals are terrified of it. There are poltergeists guarding the entrance. There's an eternal fog that will never lift, no matter whether it is rain nor shine, no matter the weather. And whatever is on the other side of that fog has not been touched by human, nor animal, nor beast folk hands since the reign of stars itself.
So
Interesting.
you've already done a pretty good job of laying the groundwork for an expedition beyond this fog.
Yes.
So you won't mind if we take a little bit of time.
Very well.
to
It
tech
seems I
these
cannot
eggs.
convince you. Go and play with your poached eggs.
I turn to Slade. You've assembled a rather selfish group of people. Which I got to imagine to Slade seems like an odd thing for Yrsimagor to say. Yrsimagor seems to... It seems that Veris and the others that he's been with the last while are rubbing off on him a bit.
And Slade responds to you. Tensions are high now. Our work is as important as ever, and, well, we're all experts and we all want to get this done, even if we can't really see eye to eye in this moment, she says. She says kind of venomously at the three others. It is better than having no allies at all, isn't it? And then the three others go, it's better than no allies at all, kind of in unison.
Well, I think we need to take a look at this place where the creatures have been taking the eggs and figure out how we're going to set this trap.
Redtooth looks excitedly at this, and he motions with a clawed finger. Oh, follow me and I'll show you. And he begins to scamper up out of the safe house, out of the shadow den.
Before as we follow, before we actually leave, Daeralei will turn back to Zevroth Slade, and you will let Veris know where we have gone when he gets here.
Of course. I imagine he will be quite inquisitive of where you all have went. He'll be informed.
Thank you. And then I'll turn back and follow the rest out.
Redtooth leads you. through the alleyway, putting the shadow den behind you. He leads you, scurrying into a small little section of ramshackle shacks that are built into the side of this mound in between Newtown and Market District. He brings you into his small abode, his small little scrap hut. It is short for everyone. All of you have to duck, Yrsimagor especially so. He leads you past his little kitchenette area where all of you kind of bump into his, his pans and pots that dangle from the ceiling. And this way, and he leads you to a hatch at the back end of his tiny little shack, and he lifts it up, straining heavily, to reveal earthen tunnels below his shack.
Is it big enough for you, Yrsimagor?
It is.
Okay.
It'll be a squeeze, but Yrsimagor can get down. He then leads you down through the earthen tunnels. He says to whoever is going last down the thing, make sure you close the hatch and lock it properly.
I think
Don't want anyone else knowing about this place.
I think I'll go last. I want Yrsimagor to go first in case I have to, jump on him to make him become unstuck if he gets unstuck. So I will follow.
Are you afraid I'm going to get Winnie the Pooh down here?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Listen, it's a possibility. You could get Winnie the Pooh.
Listen, I'm wearing pants, just no shirt.
It's, reverse Winnie the Pooh.
Reverse Winnie the Pooh.
Ew.
It sounds... Sorry, it sounds sexual.
That does sound very sexual now that I hear it out loud.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
I don't know
position
what it
number
is.
47, reverse Winnie the Pooh.
It's
Oh,
fine.
gosh,
I'll
Pooh.
take that.
Oh, bother.
As you go deep beneath the earth, you climb down into this labyrinthine network of caves and tunnels, where here is Redtooth's hidden rust monster breeding grounds, an area he's used that is concealed away from prying eyes that he carefully protects. The ground here is damp, treacherous. You can hear the sound of trickling water from some unknown stream. There's a musty scent of earth and decay, as well as the strange smells of a chitinous insectoid hive nest situation. The walls of the cave are jagged, but even then still the lower sections are worn smooth by, we can tell by the scratchings of it, the burrowing itself of the rust monsters. He leads you to an area that's glowing with this phosphorescent fungi that grows from the walls and from a small pond in the corner. You can see a hatch fence kind of staked into the ground that surrounds upon the far wall of this cave next to where this puddle of water is, this pond. It's kind of a pile of dank and not quite moldy but close hay, where nestled in it is a pile of 2 or so dozen of these like baseball-sized eggs. They are translucent. They shimmer in, they have like a yellowy color to them with streaks of silver that go through the membrane of the eggs. Inside each of the eggs, you can see, because of its translucency, a small little thing, and some of them kind of twitch about, but none of them are like anything bigger than bigger than your thumb inside of these baseball-sized eggs. My delicate operation, Redtooth says as he gestures to his nest of eggs. And then he points to the various other sections of the cave, and you can see that there's these tunnels as he has described them in various sizes, leading out from this small little den. you can see that in the ground next to these tunnels are the remnants of bales of hay, as if he's like moved nests from one place to the next to make sure that, to clear out eggs, as well as like places where a fence has been staked previously. No matter where I keep these eggs, a tunnel just appears behind them, and they get snatched. That's why this one isn't quite up against a wall, and you can see that this final fence he has is actually fully encircling this cluster of eggs. You can see that these tunnels are various sizes. Some of them are too small for you to get through without like hands and knees squeezing, and some of them are tall enough for Yrsimagor to crouch and get through.
But none of the tunnels look like they come up like from the floorways. Like they're
It's
coming
always lateral.
straight in.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Do they always appear? Do new tunnels always appear when the eggs are taken?
Yes, sometimes. No, so no, not always, but sometimes they do. I've tried fencing up the tunnels, and that's what made more of them appear. If I block them off, new ones appear. If I don't block them off, then my eggs get stolen and new ones appear anyways. It's a whole ordeal. I don't want my eggs to get stolen anymore. Can you check out what's at the end of those tunnels? Please. For my eggs.
Jake the player really wishes I had speak with animals and could communicate directly with Donut. I almost called him Popcorn for some reason.
Not gonna lie, popcorn would have been cute too.
The next one.
I will try to talk to Donut.
So curious.
They have to know a language, I believe. So I'm going to see if they even can. They have to understand at least one language.
You must. Okay, you don't need to share language, but they must be able to understand language. And I'm pretty sure the Yrsimagor cannot speak languages.
It's a -4 intelligence, which I think is below the threshold for in D&D for
intelligence,
most of the sentient stuff.
Yeah, that's like cunning predator level intelligence. Yeah, no, it has no known languages.
Yeah, so I try to link with it, and it does not work. And I'm like, I cannot help you, Yrsimagor.
I wonder. So right now the eggs are behind fences, are protected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, encircled by a fence, a rudimentary fence, but a fence nonetheless.
I'm gonna kind of point, kind of urge Donut towards one of these tunnels, seeing if as Donut is in this area, if he's picking up any sense or seems to be showing any particular interest.
Yeah, give me a perception roll for Donut. I believe he gets advantage because of smell, or she, I should say, she gets advantage because of smell.
So there we go. Oh, we are at an extra advantage too, because I totally forgot. Voraxes are tunnelers.
Mm-hmm.
So a perception check at advantage. I I don't see an advantage for scent.
They don't have a sniffing one?
Nope, they don't have that trait.
Okay. They would have like keen
Nonetheless,
senses. Okay.
the
This would be normal roll. then.
perception is +3, so I will roll. I'm gonna. What is it to re-roll? I rolled with advantage.
3? Is it 3 dice?
It's
for
3 to
rerolls?
re-roll. I'm gonna use 3 relics if you guys are okay with that. To re-roll. A weird way to do that. And we'll do another roll. Oh my word! I rolled a natural 1. So we'll stick with the 14. So it was an 11 that I rolled on the previous one. With the 3, it becomes a 14 for Donut.
Donut is checking out both the nest of eggs, and then she seems that she's found something, a trail of something, and she sniffs it to not the large tunnel, but one of a medium-sized tunnel. It seems that this one has a trickle of water that is flowing down from this cave area into the darkness below. And
So
she seemed to be sniffing this water and following the water.
So while we were waiting for Donut to like do this, find something, Daeralei would have pulled out that sensor-like object that has the readout that says radiation 0 to 600.
Mhm.
I want to pull it out because maybe it'll be useful. I don't know what it does,
Ooh,
but
perfect.
Interesting.
It is a all right. Let's see what it's able to be. What it can detect. You kind of sweep around, and it gives you a number between like 0 and 4, until a certain direction, which is roughly in the source of where these tunnels are coming from, where it like starts clicking, tick, 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 click, 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 and goes up into like the mid 50s. And if you like wheel around even more, it goes back down to a single-digit number.
right. So is it the same tunnel that Donut is kind of
Absolutely, yeah.
pinpointing?
Though you can see as you do this, you see that all the tunnels coming into this cave seem to be coming generally from the same direction. We'll say like all like spanning between like northwest and northeast, let's say. So like in that general direction, all these tunnels are coming in. And Donut is going down one of these medium-sized tunnels, and in this direction, this rough sweeping direction,
Oh,
your little detector thingy is making strange ticking noises and giving you a larger number.
it likes it too.
Mhm.
Hmm. I have this ability now. I'm gonna look it up. I have this thing now where I can read all writing because of my eyes of the Runekeeper. So do I actually
Ooh.
understand it as well? So do I know what radiation means?
So you can read all writing no matter what language it is in. So yeah, you're deciphering this alien text, and the readout, it would give you it would be like if 50.4 radulons or whatever, like some kind of measurement. It would be like, it would also give you like a little bar that that tells you that that's like low to medium level risk.
Cool. Okay.
Dangerous. But you wouldn't really know what it's measuring, but other than like, okay, well, it's a little bit more dangerous than the other directions.
So it's
picking up something.
obviously picking up the thing that we're trying to track, right? Because this is the
Exactly.
tunnel that's a little bit more dangerous. That's what I'm thinking. So the Donut is also thinking the same. This is where the thing is. So it's like, okay, danger ahead.
As Donut continues down this tunnel, she steps into a pile of the mucus goo, and she recoils and begins like hissing, and then trying to lick her paw clean, and then she recoils again, And she's like trying to flap this this paw in the air to get this mucus off of her paw, and she does not like to lick it.
Are we following along? I'm assuming that we were following
I don't know.
Donut.
I guess I'm in my mind. I was thinking the tunnel was a little bit smaller than it was. Is it big enough to go through, or is this like
Yeah, Yrsimagor can go through.
Okay.
Not comfortably. Like, no, it's not like a sprawling, huge hallway. Mechanically, you'll be at no disadvantages. Though, you keep it up day on day, day by day, you'll have to go see a back therapist or something to fix your posture.
I'll keep the ticky thing out to see if the danger gets closer to us or we get closer to the danger. I'm assuming, like, in Daeralei's mind is that as we get closer to whatever creature this thing is, then this danger will go up, because that makes sense. That's what they're thinking as they're following. So we're using it as a guide for how close we are to the danger, whether or not that's actually what we're doing. But so I'm following closely behind poor Donut. Try not to step in the puddles that Donut does not also want to step in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Toy would probably like pull a rag from a bag that she has and try to wipe it off.
Yeah, Donut knows now not to step in the puddles of purple slime.
The goo.
I'm going to check something real quick. That would be Yrsimagor is going to poke at the purple goo. I rolled a wisdom, just a general wisdom die, and I got a natural 1. So
the purple goo is a snot-like texture. It's a little bit sticky. You have to kind of put a little bit of effort to pull your hand away. Nothing like super. It's not like super glue or anything. And it gives your skin a bit of tingling feeling. Nothing like, it's not like eating through your flesh or anything. It's just kind of like, ooh, like that feels a little bit weird. Suggesting at its slight acidic nature. But it is purple, acidic, and somewhat adhesive.
I just see as we're all sort of moving through, and I'm kind of walking along behind everybody, poking at this, and then like sticking my fingers together, and you get those like blah, and then like and then just rubbing it along the cave wall, the tunnel wall, as we walk along, and ugh.
You said that you wanted eggs, yes? Has your plans changed?
Oh, wait. Yes. We're going to need those eggs.
And you turn around and see that he's got 6 of them in his arms. He's a little bit reluctant to part with them. These were the 6 of the most runty eggs. The smallest of the clutch.
I will reach over and I'll start taking them out. I'm going to take 2 of the eggs and I'm going to hand them to Toy. And I'm going to take 2 of the eggs. I'm going to hand them to Daeralei. You're muted, but I can almost read your lips that you don't want the eggs.
Yeah. Daeralei just kind of turns to you, like, got the ticky thing out, and just kind of gives you the look. Doesn't say anything, but just kind of gives you the look like, my hands are full.
So I take one of those 2 eggs and I give it to Toy. And then holding the 2 eggs in one hand, I carefully slide them into a pocket of my pack as I'm holding the last egg, and I look over at I'm looking for something egg-like here, but I don't have anything. But basically, I look over at Redtooth, and I just say, "Don't worry," as I'm holding this egg, and I go, like a baseball, "We'll take care of them."
You see, he's like, ah, when you toss it into the air. The egg in your hand, you were expecting it, the way it looked very like membranous, to be kind of like soft and like squishy. It's very firm and hard, almost like a rock in terms of its like texture. Even though you can see through it, it's like you're like, tap, tap, tap. Quite firm and hard. You continue down the tunnels then. Eggs in tow. Down to see what has been hunting these rust monster eggs. Now, Donut is kind of leading the way. And Daeralei is following suit with a little ticking device. You see that the water here continues and begins pooling in sections. That Donut is very, very hesitant to be in and will probably hop around, avoiding the water at all costs. But she still seems curious and will continue along this tunnel. Nothing appears out of the ordinary other than the mysterious coating of this purple slime all along the cave floor, the cave walls, even in some places dripping from the ceiling. In a lot of places, it's kind of like it's hardened and to form like a weird purple crust that's dried. But in places close to the water, it's never been able to get air dried and remains to be its mucousy texture nonetheless, despite all this exposure to the air.
Does the danger number get higher as we
Your
get
number
further?
as you're descending here is slowly climbing. Though notably, Daeralei, you notice that your danger number is higher in this direction than it is in this direction. You pointed at this wall right here, and it skyrockets to the 200s. And the exclamation mark fills up into the orange, like deep orange level.
Be careful, Yrsimagor. It's right beside you. On the wall there.
There's nothing there.
Maybe it's lurking in the rock, ready to pounce.
I'm going to place my hand on that wall and then slowly lean in and press my ear against it.
As soon as he does that, I think I'll remove my like the ticking thing to one hand, and I will immediately summon my packed weapon, my rapier, in my other hand, in case I need to save Yrsimagor.
Yrsimagor, your hands get a little slimed, your ear gets a little bit gooed to the cave wall. Roll me perception, please, as you try to listen on what the other side is.
13.
You cannot hear anything through the stone itself. All you hear is the ambient noises around you, your companions breathing, your own heart in your chest, and the sounds of dripping water further down in these tunnels to the right, to the east here. But you cannot hear anything through the stone.
There's nothing there. All the same.
This thing says otherwise.
Does it speak to you? All I hear is that incessant clicking sound.
That is its voice.
It's an irritating voice. I'd rather listen to Redtooth rattle on.
Very well. Move aside. And my rapier will disappear. If Yrsimagor steps aside, I'd like to Eldritch Blast the wall where this thing is.
There's not even a door here, and we've become the most suspicious. Typical suspicious D&D party.
It's beeping!
You're literally attacking the darkness.
Yes.
You blast the wall with eldritch energy, leaving craters and scorch marks and smoldering smoke, scorching away the mucus and slime on that part of the wall. But the wall does not give way, nor does it reveal any hidden opponent or adversary other than a stone wall.
Does the
carved
ticking Does the
from-
ticking stop?
No, the ticking does not stop.
With the smoldering hoil. Nope. The smoldering hoil. Yeah. The smoldering hole. I turn to Daeralei and just say, "Are you satisfied?"
No.
Good. And I'm going to turn my attention back to Donut.
Donut is nervous. Sorry, not nervous, but like concerned about progressing further. Her ears are perked. She is alert. She definitely senses that there's something dangerous. As she will stick close to your legs for the time being, and will progress if you progress. But she seems a bit concerned about what's down here.
Then I will progress.
All right.
So as they progress, I'm going to hold back and I'm staring at the now charred and smoking remains of the wall.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for whatever it is that's hiding there to jump out. So I'll let them go a little ways first before I. Yeah, I'm watching our backs, so I'm fixated on that while they go on forward.
You progress down through these tunnels. They are open and honestly carved open with the pools of water here now. The mucus, like the mucus slime tunnels, have kind of given way to this natural cave formation, hollowed out through time and the flow of water. You take these probably steps on these little stepping stone rocks in this great puddle to continue your way down. There's nothing that seems to catch your eye out of the ordinary. Just stones and rocks and dripping water just from the surface. Drip, drip, drip.
I suddenly feel like I'm playing Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Donut nervously hops beside you.
So does
I'll stop here actually, and I'll call back down the tunnel. Are you coming or what?
and nothing has happened, right? As
Yeah, nothing's
as he's
happened.
gone. So I will back away. I'll keep my eye on the ticking and towards the wall there. Does it still keep pointing at that wall section as I walk away, or does the
So the direction would be in this direction now for you.
so as I
So it's
walk
not-
along the wall, it keeps walking with me, basically?
Yeah, so you would expect it to be this direction
Yeah.
if it's the wall, but it isn't. It's this direction. It's like just a few angles along with you, like as if it follows along with you. Absolutely.
I'm getting paranoid. It's like it's following us, and so I'm gonna, without turning away, I gotta keep my eye on it and the thing. I'll follow, but I think when I get here and I see that it opens up and potentially curls around, instead of going where Yrsimagor is, I'm gonna go over here. And and then when I'm swinging it around, is it still pointing at the wall?
Yeah,
like
you would see
beside me?
that it would be pointing in this direction, right against this cave wall. And the number will be going down. It's now in the 150.
It's getting further away, Yrsimagor. It's still in that direction. And I'm
All of
pointing
you
at the
can
wall in front of me.
All of you see that the water is slowly flowing down and around this bend. As there's a slight downhill slope to these natural caves. Again, nothing stands out to you as you make your way through this place.
I don't say anything as Daeralei says this, but noting the natural flow of the water, I think the others would notice that now that we're in this cave, I'm moving more deliberately. You can see that I'm moving in that slightly crouched at the ready, and you can see that I'm sort of clenching and unclenching my fists, as if readying myself just in case, as I will continue to follow the water.
Are you stepping on this stone, Yrsimagor?
I mean,
Not now.
no, I absolutely am, because even before you said like stepping stones, I realized I was automatically kind of moving myself.
Mm-hmm. Because like the water is pretty deep. If you weren't on these stepping stones, it'd be like knee height at the shallowest.
Yeah,
up to your
I
waist at the
definitely
deepest.
feel that Yrsimagor is hopping from stone to stone, and yes, I would step on your stone.
Okay. All right, we're gonna take a snap in time. Pause. Is this where everyone is standing as we're investigating things?
I will be right there. There we go. Now take your picture.
Yes.
All right, Yrsimagor, as you take your step onto this stone, it shifts just a little bit, sinking into the water just a bit before it kind of shifts to lift you back up to the proper height once more. Toy, when you're standing on this one, your stone shifts as well. This time kind of tipping and sliding as you all of a sudden lose your balance. Make me a dex save, please.
Let's see. Please be with me, dice gods. They are not. That's a natural 1. So 8.
All right. You are going to be prone in the water
Cool.
at the start
I'm
of
drowning.
this. Yrsimagor, actually, I guess Daeralei, you'd see this as the stone tips Toy off of it. You see that below the surface of the water, there's these purple appendages that emerge from the stone itself, not like under it as if it's some kind of shell, but the stone itself melts and contracts and shapes out and stretches into these long purple appendages as one by one these stepping stones turn into these amorphous purple blobs as they begin to snake and ooze their way towards their fresh meals.
Nice. I think the only thing I would be able to say in that moment is below you. And is my little danger ticker now pointing at them, or is it still pointing at the wall?
Nope, it's still pointing behind you at the wall. And with that, everyone please roll me initiative.
That's actually more frightening that it's still pointing at the wall.
Oh, what the? That's weird. What is happening? Hold on. My chat was acting weird. It keeps. I don't understand what's happening. I can't type a message in chat. It keeps trying to edit my previous message that I sent.
Well, that's so weird.
Yeah. 18. I'm trying to type it in there, and it's just trying to edit my previous message, so I don't know what's happening.
Maybe hit enter or something. And
I think I know what's going on. My number lock got turned off for some reason.
Ah.
Mm.
I blame it on the cave mimics.
Blame it on the cave mimics. And with that, as these foul creatures emerge to devour the unsting adventurers in this cave, their purple appendages unfurling from the stone itself, transforming into hook shapes, spears, swords, appendages to maim and murder. As Yrsimagor, as you are standing atop this one, its back is still this slate of this sheet of slate stone that it's still using to hold you up. But you realize that the purple pseudopod appendages that are coming out are all around you, as if it's some kind of hydra to swallow you whole. Though instead of hydra heads, it's these purple pseudopods transforming themselves into sharp metal scythes and short barbed stingers. As this happens, we're going to go and end our session and pick this up next time.
Fantastic. We are just far enough in that Veris can hear our screams and come running to save us.
Exactly. I was thinking the exact same
Absolutely.
thing. He can come and save us.
He can come be the hero of the day.
Well,
Like always.
it's once again excellent to be back in the skin of Yrsimagor and with these other characters and players and Game Master. Prior to, as I said at the beginning, prior to this week, it's been 6 weeks since we've streamed any games. So kicking off 2025 right with games. We'll be back 2 weeks from tonight with our next session of Skymetal Iron Gods. Next week, we hope to see you here at 7:30 p.m. for our scavenger game. As I'm winding things out, I do want to give you a heads up that in a moment we are going to raid our friend Lunchbox, who, if you watched our stream last night, you would know that Lunchbox is the artist who created our character art for that game. He is currently playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now. So I'm going to send a raid over there as we do our outros here. First off, thank you to everybody who, as always, the support with bits and subs and resubs and all that stuff. Thank you for hanging out in chat. Love seeing people hanging out. Even if you're lurking and we don't really see you, just knowing that you're lurking in the shadows is enough. We appreciate you. And of course, a huge thank you to everybody around this virtual table. Thank you once again, Vi, for another great session. Thank you, Kaeryn, Sara. And though they are not with us tonight, they are with us in spirit. Thank you to M, without whom this would just be Vi talking to herself for a couple hours. With that, we are going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
A mimic
It's
ambush.
Moaki's fault.
Wrong stream.